Welcome to part 2 of our in-depth video about macros. We're going to show you a few more hints and tips and help you get the most of your SD console. So straight into it, and tip 1, aux sends to faders. If you're mixing monitors on a smaller SD console, using the macro buttons to flip sends to faders saves constantly switching banks and helps with work surface layout. In this instance, we want the macro to perform 3 things. Clear the solo bus, solo the correct aux master, and put the sends to that aux onto faders. You could manually program each action, but it's much easier to use the capture command. Open up the aux sends to faders panel and make sure activate solo is selected. Now press capture in the macro editor and select an aux send. You'll see the sequence of commands appear. Finally, come out of capture mode and assign the work surface macro button. Which leads to tip 2, the capture command. Sometimes you know what you want to program, but you can't find it in the menus or there's lots of commands, which might take a long time to program. The capture command listens and records all of the adjustments you make. You can later go back and edit, adjust, remove them as needed, but the majority of the macro programming is taken care of. Macro tip 3, it's all about speed. Speed of operation and navigation of the console is so important, so placing access to specific windows or panels is good use of macros. Hitting a macro button instead of using the touchscreen is quicker and less distraction. It's the same for other common functions, saving the session, listening to copied audio, for a virtual soundtrack, all just one button press away. And finally, macro tip 4. We've talked in this video about using the work surface buttons to fire macros, but there are lots of other ways to fire them. The keyboard function buttons, MIDI, GPI. You can attach a macro to a fader action. Opening the channel faders or muting and unmuting channels can all perform macro actions. And the DiGiCo iPad app allows for up to 256 extra macro buttons. We hope these macro videos have given you some ideas on how you could improve your workflow and console operation with some handy shortcuts. Don't forget to subscribe to the DiGiCo YouTube channel for more SD range in-depth videos.